Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of UnderExposed, our weekly macro show hitting all the biggest topics and trends impacting crypto and Web3. Today is Tuesday, May 19th. Bond yields are spiking. Inflation is running hot. Leopold is flipped short. Are markets due for a correction or just a minor blip on the road higher? We're going to talk about it on today's show. I'm your host, Tyler D. I got my co-host back. First, we got to go straight to him. Peter's back after a couple weeks off. Peter, glad to have you back. How you doing?
GM, yeah. Sorry I've been missing. Unfortunately, I won't be here next week, but then should be pretty smooth sailing through the summer. So love this show. Love being with you guys. Just been traveling a lot, and certainly there's no shortage of headlines. Piercing volatility has remained strong across the board. So excited to chat with you boys, and happy to be back.
Are you in a new location with us?
I'm in a new location. Yeah, my backdrop should be better hopefully in 2 weeks, but new location. We're moved in, and it's nice here in the office. Got screens and CNBC on. It's fun.
Happy for it. So that is a lot of fun. Glad you're getting settled in. Folks, we got Deez on with us, rocking a fresh hat for us here today. Deez, GM, how you doing?
Doing good. We got the Underdog BBM 5 hat, I think this is. Basically just back on the daily best ball draft grind right now, trying to get 450 drafts done by the end of summer. I don't quite think I'm going to get there, but we'll see. Getting drafts done with a kid is tough. Like, I feel like it's hard for me to get uninterrupted time, but the Underdog 20-second clocks are a pretty nice pace right now. So that's where I'm at.
Well, at least there's not much on-chain crypto action to distract.
Yeah, these V1 punks aren't about to flip pudgies.
We'll get into it on today's show, folks. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk some macro, catch up with Peter after a few weeks. I want to talk to the SpaceX IPO, if there's a trade there at all, or if it's just a stay away. Hyperliquid's big week. Zeke, V1, and now V2 punks on the move. Base season chatter heating up, what we're trading, and a whole lot more. Before we dive into a couple housekeeping items, as always, we are live streaming on Kick and X. Go ahead and give the show a retweet. Let's get some more folks in the stream with us. And before we get started, quick disclosure, as always, the opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not reflect the views or opinions of any organizations they're associated with. We are here to share insights, provoke thought, and maybe even start some debate, but this is not, I repeat, not financial advice. While we talk about markets, investments, and trends, remember, your financial decisions should be made with the help of your own research or with advice from a licensed professional. All right, well, let's get into it. I'll fire up the screen share for those who are live in the screen. We can take a look at a few of the boards. Taking a look at crypto first, it is a red week, although today is not quite a red day. So Bitcoin down 5%, 76.4. ETH down 7%, 2,100 flat. Solana is down 11%, hit 97 last week. Thought we were never going to see double-digit Solana again. Now it's back squarely in that chop range at 84. Hyperliquid, the big story of the week, up 18%, 47.60, hitting a new local high. We'll talk about why that is here in a bit. But I think the broader story is in macro right now. Stocks are down, I think down for the third day in a row. We haven't really seen a 3-day red streak in quite some time, at least since the war news started settling. And it seems to be tied to these just rapidly spiking bond yields. I think the U.S. 30-year, so like 5.1%. I think that's the highest it's been since 2007. The 10 years at 4.68 right now. Oil has continued to hold above that $100 level. It's shown at 108 right now. And this is starting to impact markets. Peter, kind of with that backdrop, does it seem like we're due for a pullback? Some are saying top is in for the year. Like, how are you reacting to some of the latest moves here we've seen in these markets?
It's always difficult to time the market, but we do have some real headwinds, specifically inflation and the impact of the Iran war. You can see that in rates, and that's why we're seeing kind of the moves in the market My base case was that the SpaceX IPO may be kind of the local top, but certainly we're having volatility to the downside now ahead of that. We do have a huge deflationary force in AI, and maybe that can offset some of the inflationary forces that we're going to see in materials, food, obviously energy prices. So those are the main things that I'm paying attention to right now, is just trying to track as much of that as I can. Obviously, oil maintains stubbornly high. This Iran war is off and on, off and on, off and on. Really difficult to kind of keep track of. But yeah, we saw just, all-time highs in the market, and certainly frothy like behavior. AI stocks traded like crypto did in the past. So it's a tricky time as it's been to allocate capital. And I think continuing to, think through your life situation and how you're going to trade. If you're a long-term investor, probably don't do too much. And if you're a trader, certainly more merit to de-risking given the inflation concerns.
It's tough to figure out the next move, right? Because from March 30th, the S&P was 63.43, and then May 14th, 7,500, fresh new all-time high. It basically went up almost every day for 6 weeks. And now we pulled back a couple percent off all-time high. So it's one of those things where like you don't want to get ahead of yourself. And a cool down is pretty normal after a rally of this size. But there are like some real signs of concern in these bond markets. And I don't know if you guys do the grocery shopping for your household. Have you looked at the price of like grocery essentials like fruit or meat lately? Like they are like shockingly high. I was at the store this weekend, and it's so high that it makes you wonder kind of like what are we doing? Like how are normal people getting by type levels?
Meanwhile, you have Kevin O'Leary coming out saying that people who make 70 grand a year shouldn't be eating $28 meals. And then that's on my timeline as like a big news item too.
Yeah.
Like a nice ribeye is like $25 plus here now, like a pound. Good ground meat is like basically $10 a pound unless you want to eat shitty 80-20 stuff.
Yeah. Like any decent, a pound of fruit, anywhere $7 to $10. My kids are going through like multiple pounds per day. So it really is, it is eye-opening, and inflation seems very real. And like I have an electric car, so I'm not even dealing with gas. The price.
Yeah, it's crazy. I drove by the gas station the other day, and it was basically $5 a gallon. And I'm over here like, I went to Michigan and back, and it cost me like $17 in electricity to charge in Toledo. We're lucky here. We all have the electric cars.
Yeah. It's like $5.50 at the gas station by my house. So pretty crazily high. And now we're starting to see like real impacts on rate hike. Now rate cut market has flipped to rate hike market. Now 60% for a hike in 2026. 42% for one hike, 16% chance for two hikes. Now, well, hell, there's 2.5% chance for three hikes. I haven't even seen that yet. And odds of any cuts now effectively at zero. I mean, Warsh is in a tough spot coming in. And now we have stats saying did Jerome Powell's last day was that the top of markets seemingly possible here in the near term. I mean, Peter, you kind of went there. Like, how are you thinking about positioning? Like, are you playing defensive right now, just in general? Like, how are you? Like, are you making any moves, or are you just kind of? I know you've been kind of busy these last few weeks, but I'm curious what your approach is right now.
Yeah, I de-risked some of the memory trade, which I was fortunate to be on. I was late. I think we talked a bit about that in previous shows. So I de-risked that a bit. Hard to know where to put capital right now, because I feel like when you're earning, if you put it in like treasuries or something, you're probably losing to inflation. There's quite a few delta neutral trades. The most recent trade that I made was long BMNR short ETH, which I think is a really interesting trade. It's currently trading around 0.89 NAV. So I'm looking for stuff like that. Basically, I'm trying to find yield. I still have exposure to memory and AI. I've been buying. Yesterday, I bought more Zoom. So yeah, I'm still trying to keep exposure to kind of this AI trade while also de-risking given the crazy run that we've had. So I've kind of rotated a smidge on that, and then just looking for yield and trying to maintain purchasing power. People asking about Zoom. Zoom is a trade I've talked about extensively on this show, and basically it's a way to get exposure to Anthropic. They own a ton of Anthropic stock. It's a huge percentage of the enterprise value. The core business is a cash flow machine, and they have a ton of cash on the balance sheet, somewhere in the range of around $8 billion. So really, this is just a way to effectively own Anthropic in the public markets. SKM is another one that you could buy. Of course, there's bigger shareholders like Google, Amazon, et cetera, but their exposure and their shares of Anthropic are negligible relative to their overall market cap. So that's some of the stuff that I've looked at. Crypto, I haven't made a ton of moves other than this BM&R kind of delta neutral trade. And yeah, just not doing a ton, just really trying to be thoughtful about my overall portfolio, trimming some of the winners a little bit. And that's just kind of the nature of where I am. If I was, in a position where I could take a little bit more risk, I'd probably still be pretty heavy all these different AI trades, just thinking there's still some asymmetry there, but it's been a really crazy run the last month or so, which is why I thought it was prudent to take a smidge of risk off with having young kids and whatnot.
It's hard as someone who was sidelined to a lot of the individual stocks there. It's hard to see the charts and think like, oh, I want to pile in now, right? Like if we've learned anything investing in crypto, I know it's a little bit different. And I still broadly think like the reason they pumped, I don't think it's going away. Like that there still is a real bottleneck. And I think my base case view is we're in the roaring 20s for the AI boom. And I do think it's going to continue. But a lot of these could use a cool off. I mean, what Micron went up 150% in 6 weeks. There's several stories like this. You mentioned Zoom because it has the Anthropic exposure. We got some pretty big news just before the show broke. I don't know if folks have even seen this yet. OpenAI co-founder Andrej Karpathy has joined Anthropic. Says the next few years, the frontier of LLMs will be especially formative. He's excited to get back to R&D. So I was curious to see how Anthropic was reacting to this on Hyperliquid. Of course, you have to take these markets with a bit of a grain of salt. Not a huge volume, 400K volume on this. It's trading at 1.2 trillion. We know they are wrapping up around at 900 billion right now. I think that's the latest that I've seen. So on Hyperliquid, you're seeing about a 30% premium or so. I think be careful buying up here, but folks seem to think this one's going to continue going higher. Although the big open question is the SpaceX IPO. Is that going to wreck all IPOs? Is it going to top markets for the foreseeable future? I know, Peter, you kind of mentioned that you were not the only one who shares that concern, just as a huge liquidity event. Do you want to maybe elaborate on that thought of why a SpaceX IPO could end up being a bearish event?
Well, I have some intel. I know some people that are close with Elon and that whole crew. And Elon is a genius marketer and has always seemed to get exit liquidity near the top. And from everything I'm hearing, he's encouraging companies to go public and try to get kind of this last bit of liquidity. So I think that's, just Elon's timing is one concern. And then of course the market has to absorb this, trillion plus, potentially multi-trillion asset. I do think, ETFs and whatnot can absorb it, but they're going to have to sell other parts of the market to get it, to make sure that their exposures are right. The big Vanguard funds like BOO and BTI, and there's plenty of others. So to me, it's a real concern, just from a local top perspective. I remember Coinbase IPO being the local top for crypto back in 21. This feels eerily similar to me, and it's something that I'm paying really close attention to. And this is going to happen soon. I mean, I think the poly market odds on this happening before July 1st are like 90-some%.
June 12th. We have the date.
Oh, June 12th.
Yeah.
Shows what I missed yesterday. So there you go. Yeah, it's a concern to me. I think you have all these big private companies that are going to have to soak up a lot of liquidity, and that's coupled with huge inflation and all these other things. There's reasons to be skittish. Now, to play devil's advocate and go the other way, which I think anytime you're evaluating an investment or thinking about the market, you should be able to paint both cases and then figure out where you have more conviction. On the opposite side, you have this huge deflationary force with AI. SpaceX has an basically unlimited TAM, and space is certainly really interesting when you start looking at the data centers. As a Starlink customer, it's one of the best products I've ever used. SpaceX has done an amazing job with Starlink, and I think that product will continue to grow. And all of these are just adding a ton of value to society. And we could just have this incredible super cycle with space, robotics, AI. So that's the opposite side. And I think long term, that certainly will be the case. It's just how do we get there? And I think in between, we're going to have a lot of bumps. We have all this geopolitical concerns. And in addition, I think one other scary thing for markets is we're going to have, this socialism push, given the K-shaped economy here in the US. And that's going to be something we're going to have to navigate as well. So we haven't even talked about midterms and how that could impact markets. But there's merit on both sides, I think. And I certainly am just trying to think through how to be positioned given where I am at in life and just having a young family.
I appreciate the balanced take. It is tricky to try to navigate. For sure, as one who's putting
that's been the case, right, for like a year and a half. Sorry to interject, but we've had just tons of cross currents, and it's been really hard because just think about how cryptos perform and then the stock market, and there's so many different things that are moving around. And it's if you're trading a ton, I think it's pretty hard. I think most traders I know have struggled. Obviously, the sharpest ones have done unbelievably well, and I think that's more just like that. The really sharp are doing it better than ever. That's true in all facets with the K-shaped economy, and then the majority are struggling.
Yeah, I think that is right. As for SpaceX IPO, it's a company I'm very interested in owning long term, but I don't really want to touch the IPO. I think there's a stat that most post IPO stocks like bottom are like 180 days after or something like that. So I think maybe set your alarms for a timeline like that and maybe check back in. But buying it at 2.3 trillion off the jump, or if it even goes higher, isn't super enticing right now. But at the same time, I'm not really looking to go short. Deez, you gonna be trading the SpaceX IPO?
For better or worse, no. I might sell other things if they pump, but I was looking at it on Hyperliquid and I didn't buy it. I don't know what price I would buy it. Like, I guess if it went down to the same price Anthropic was, but it's not going to go that low. So I don't know. I will say I'm impressed just by the amount of open interest. It's like 31 million already. Good to see. Funding isn't ridiculous at all. I thought funding might be stupid for this, but it's basically even.
So is SpaceX pre-IPO and Hyperliquid, is that bullish hype in your opinion?
Yeah. I think all of the stuff that we've seen this week for Hyperliquid has caught me by surprise, but yeah, it's all bullish. It feels like tokenized stock trading, the Circle deal with Coinbase, obviously the pre-IPO stuff, all very good stuff, I think.
Let's get into it. It's been a hell of a week for Hyperliquid. So we got the first surprise headline last week that Coinbase is effectively, I'm going to say, bending the knee and kind of putting Hyperliquid on this pedestal, saying we're going to partner with you We're going to bring USDC as primary stablecoin, and we're going to share that revenue with you. That effectively, the back of the napkin math, Hyperliquid gained 25% in annual revenue just via that deal. So that was bullish story number one. I think the token went from like 39 to 44 on the back of that. And then I was showing the Cerebras token. So this was featured by Bloomberg as finding price discovery on Hyperliquid ahead of its IPO last week. And this is one of the biggest IPOs in history. I think they raised $5.5 billion. So maybe not the biggest headline IPO, but size-wise, it was up there. So that was another feather in Hyperliquid's cap. And then yesterday we got the news SEC is going to effectively allow tokenized stocks to be trading despite it, regardless of issuer. So they're basically opening the floodgates to tokenized stock trading. And that was really what sent hype to new local highs. If folks have been living under a rock and not seeing this, went from 42 to 48 on the back of this. That is the driver. This is while crypto broadly is selling off. So this is a counter trend here. Hype Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. How are you thinking about the trade? Like, are you raising your targets on the back of this? Because like I feel like that's a meme. But like if there was any group of headlines or information that could make one change their targets, like I think this is it.
It's becoming one of those things where I think of an old Kobe tweet about price targets and really just like waiting for more of the feeling of euphoria rather than like any specific price. I've seen targets on the timeline like over like $500 over the last week. Like I've seen people posting what the New York Stock Exchange or the CME was when they came out and what they are today. And if you invested into it on, the valuation that hype is now, like I've seen people making all sorts of random comparisons. Personally, it's still like the easiest thing to hold in my entire portfolio by honestly an order of magnitude. Like it's an order of magnitude easier for me to hold hype than Bitcoin right now. So I'm just holding it and chilling. I would think maybe about like if it's just like 80+% of your portfolio and you need to take cash off the table, like if it's around $50, I don't think you're going to be too mad taking out some, but I'm not looking to cash out any right now. I would sell some of my Bitcoin before I sell more hype.
I've seen the crazy price targets as well, which I'm in general a fan of.
Yeah. In general, I would like to see more people put higher numbers on the timelines for things I bought at significantly lower numbers. Like in general, I'm just a big fan of that.
It is wild. I was looking at the FTVs of hype and Solana. It's only 20% away from flipping Sol and FTV. Did you know that? Hype's at 46 billion FTV. Solana's at 52.
Has your timeline been feeding you a bunch of the Phoenix trade stuff this week too? Like I feel like the Solana part of my timeline, at least when I've been scrolling it over the last week, is trying to really get attention on the Phoenix trade thing. Is like I don't know, decks on Sol that they're trying to make competitive to Hyperliquid or something. And I just kind of cringe when I see it. I'm just like, fuck, like you may as well just go back to pimping out Zcash. Like let's not try to make this whole DEX thing a thing. Like just go back to posting Zcash.
We were leaning in over at FOMO Hour. We had Vibu on the show this morning. So we talked about Phoenix.
Gotcha.
And the battle versus Solana. I mean, he was pretty professional, effectively said Hyperliquid's a great product. We are trying to have good products in all the different verticals on Solana as well.
We appreciate the professionalism.
But yeah, they have generated some hype. I mean, that's kind of what you need. I had never heard of Phoenix Trade before.
Like no, I hadn't either until the last week.
It has been around for a few years. So from a marketing point of view, I think it is working. And could another perp dex catch a run? Do we need to check on lit? I don't know how closely you've been monitoring your lit position.
Every day. I mean, it's on my watch list. So every day that I look at stuff, I see it. Bottom looks to be in. We have a pretty nice floor around 80, 85 cents. Sellers seem to run out of tokens and buyers seem to find some more money to buy with when we get there. Just cautiously optimistic. We're just we hold it more to be someone, I guess, like hedged to Hyperliquid. I don't know. I basically I'm holding it to stay in the Lightards group chat right now.
Yeah, I mean, Lightards see 99 cents. They have to be euphoric. It's a strong number.
I mean, it basically feels like $2.
But in theory, the lit token should be rallying in line with other protocols in the back of this headline that, yeah, tokenized stocks are going to be a thing. So that should be good for lit.
Absolutely. I think too, it's just one of those things where like hype is the first thing that comes to people's mind. It has the narrative. And like when they see the very obvious narrative on the timeline, they're like, oh, I'm just going to buy that, which I completely get. I don't think people are even thinking like second order effects, like, oh, this like actually probably helps other dexes too that aren't just Hyperliquid. I don't even know if I've seen a single person mention that. So
I don't know if these fee figures are correct because I've seen different fee numbers for Hyperliquid going around. So maybe grain of salt here, but what jumped out to me is I saw the headlines that Polymarket had flipped Hyperliquid in daily fees. I think this happened like on Sunday or Monday. It was close, right? Like 1.6 million to 1.5. And then I saw that Pump was well above them both. And this all Pump was well above Hype on the 30-day as well. It's got 50% more revenue than Hyperliquid does. And it's got 10% of the mind share and a much lower multiple on that revenue than Hype does. And it's just such a strange tale of two protocols where like we are repricing Hyperliquid based on a revenue change. And here's Pump doing tons of revenue and we just don't care about it. It's still so hard for me to wrap my head around. This thing's at 1.68.
I think there's just like a general distrust of the token. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like when you see their numbers and you compare it to this token price, like it just doesn't even make sense. Like you can argue that the revenue they're making isn't as durable. You can argue the capital efficiency of the buybacks they had was terrible. You can argue that people think Hyperliquid can grow exponentially more from here, whereas they think, meme coin stuff isn't going to grow. But it's still tough to like look at the Pump chart and try to compare it to the revenue. Like it's literally almost the lowest it's ever been. It looks like it might break down again. I don't know, man.
It's on Lifeline support.
It's not good. Yeah, I have it open. And I mean, when are these unlocks coming? Aren't they in a month or two for the ICO?
Yeah, I guess that is coming. So
like that's the biggest question mark for Pump. Like they did they also haven't done the airdrop yet, which you would assume is going to have more sellers than buyers.
Oh, were you assuming that's a thing? I thought we just decided that's not going to happen.
I don't know. I thought in my mental model of Pump, there's still a future airdrop, but maybe I'm just stuck in like, 2021 cycle. What airdrop comes first, Pump or OpenSea?
Pump. 33% chance in 2026. I don't like the yes on that. Although if it was going to happen, it would be this summer, right? At the 1 year mark.
Yeah, you think it would be inside traded enough?
This is a tricky one. I mean, if you said people don't trust it, it's programmatic 50% buy and burns. So like it's written in code. It should be trusted as much as anything.
Dude, Rollbit a long time ago just taught me that like buy and burn doesn't automatically just mean you're gonna like make free money on this trade.
Yeah. I guess you mentioned the competition. I could argue that Hyperliquid has more competition than Pump does in its niche.
Oh, absolutely. Just the upside or like the TAM is exponentially bigger. Like if you're trying to build the house of finance versus like picks and shovels for rapists, like I don't know. Like it's a different market.
So that's Hype and Pump. Just quickly talking about majors, we haven't really hit on majors too much.
Well, we had the consensus trade last week. We had Zcash, VVV. they seem to be rebounding relatively good based off the lows they put in over the last couple days compared to like the consensus trade Bitcoin, which is just slowly not rebounding, slowly going down.
Zeke's been my primary trade. I've been continuing to add. I did not catch the dip all the way to 500, but I've been able to pick up some like the 520, 530 range after the buy at 400.
And you're still feeling good about this, like 700 plus, run it to 1,000.
But my targets are much, much higher.
Your target's like $35,000.
Yeah, I've got the 2017 Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's true.
Overlaid. I've got the fractal overlaid. The charts
you got the rainbow.
So that's how I'm thinking about it. And VVV, still kind of watching. I haven't really. No, that's at 1550.
I was thinking about buying some under 13, and I just zoomed out a little bit and was like, man, I can't. And then I didn't. And then, of course, it's back up. But it feels like it might have another leg in it. If you think all the other AI stuff is going to keep going up, this is interesting. And I'm still holding, we talked about it last week, the Dolphin Pod token. Had a nice dump on the show right now, back to the prior range.
Let me find Pod here. Oh, wow, back at 16. So this was
so I
30.
Sold like a little over half my bag, got out all my initial little bit of profit. Now I'm just hanging out, seeing what happens.
Peter, have you been dabbling on chain much? You mentioned your Delta Neutral Bitminer ETH trade. Have you been playing any tokens?
I haven't done anything at all recently, but I'm happy that you like Zcash. That's one of the few positions I have. Sold a CryptoPunk at the kind of local bottoms, of course. Yeah, I mean, basically the kind of the same, exact same thesis I've had before. Bitcoin, Zcash, Hype, Lighter, Delta Neutral stuff. It's effectively been my portfolio for a while. ETH and Solana, they run, that'll feel bad, but I feel like I could be patient for those. And then really not paying attention to much else. You guys mentioned Pump. That's something that I was in and out of a ton kind of last year and into the start of this year. And then outside of that, I haven't really even looked at much. Zcash is the most interesting one to me. Do you guys consider Monero at all? Because I've just owned Zcash and I haven't owned Monero, but is that something that you're considering in the thesis? Is should Monero be? From my understanding, that's actually used more in like crime, which is like a perfect validation for the privacy token. That's actually getting used. But maybe
I definitely like Monero. I have a little bit, just like my Zcash, where I'm trying to just hold it, not think about it. But I don't have like a position on any exchange or platform. It's just like burying spot and forgetting it exists. But the chart looks, the chart looks like if Zcash goes to 700, how does Monero at least not go to like 480, 500?
Ever since we talked to Mert and he explained the Monero privacy mechanism in his term is kind of like a 16 cup sleight of hand game, and said Zeke's model was just better. I kind of just have turned Monero off in my brain. I don't really think about it. I've seen the takes that more criminals use it. I think some of the other factors are stronger, and like Zeke going post quantum, the metrics behind the shielded pools going up. I think you can paint a stronger bull case. So I'm not short Monero by any means, but I'm just happy watching that one from the sidelines. But the privacy trade seems to be a big one. That's a part of the VVV. Private AI is the whole VVV pitch right now. And the crypto AI trade does seem to be heating back up. I think more folks are looking at that. Or I guess on Near is also a privacy trade now. I don't know if you've been following Near much, Peter, but it's been another runner over the past few weeks of about 50%, 60% off the lows. It's people are using it to get onto Zeke and trade Zeke. So that's part of its bull case as well. But I think Base is starting to see more action tied to some of the crypto AI plays, which are a little bit more native to Base. driving more attention over there. But I want to talk punks. I mean, you kind of went there. Peter's pipe sale, unfortunately, may have been near a local bottom. We've seen some rising action.
I think there was just a ape trade while we were on the show.
Oh wow! Kind of trade.
It wasn't on chain, but it's transferred from the canonpunks.eth address, which is that thing Eli set up where people can let other punk owners know they're interested in their punks, even if their account is like not active or they don't know who they are.
You're saying an ape CryptoPunk?
Yeah. You can see the one that transferred like in the recents right there.
Wow.
That one. Because it moved out of the Canon Punks address into this new one.
That's interesting. So let's see the last sell on this. Oh no. It sold in 2017 for the last time. Although it has transferred a few times. I'm not sure if there was action.
Yeah, and the address that got it isn't the address that sent ETH. So I like quickly looked to see if I could see an amount, and I didn't. But
this is the theme. We're starting to see the higher end punks start to move again. Perugia came back, swept 10 punks over the weekend. We'd seen more aesthetic punks start.
Kalish sold that really nice five attribute top hat last night. I wasn't expecting that. I was just scrolling and got the notification that the punk spot sold. It's like, whoa, shit. That's a nice one though.
I didn't realize it was still his. So yeah, we went through it this morning. He has a long storied history with this. He's
been around for a while at the punks. It feels like yesterday we would be able to see him selling like $5+ million worth of DraftKings stock, and then it felt like he was buying $5 million worth of NFTs right after. So he's down to, it looks like, his last two punks.
Oh yeah, I hadn't checked his wall. What does he have left?
That's his favorite. Yeah, the Ass Eater VR. That one's iconic. You can't give that one up.
What do you make of this rally? So Cyrus said he thinks punks are just going back to 100K in a straight line. Are we going to get there?
I mean, how many times have we talked about punks versus like 1 Bitcoin on this show?
A lot. We've been lagging. So I think that's the ratio. If it's I think it was like 20% below Bitcoin in the last couple of weeks with this ETH dip.
Yeah, it was pretty low. Now it's like closer to 1, but still Bitcoin is worth more than 1 punk.
Not for much longer.
It's just nice to see there's buyers. Like I talked a couple months ago about our wealth advisor deciding to buy a couple punks and buy Punkster and get onboarded, and seeing stuff like that versus going on Twitter and just seeing everybody be depressed and sad they didn't sell more when the prices were higher. Just feels nice. There's some nice punks on the floor. So if you think this move is going to keep going up, within like 3 or 4 ETH of the floor, there's a couple, I think, real nice ones. The albino wild hair smoker probably jumps out to me the most. The lady, I really like that one. But yeah, nice time to be a buyer if you're looking for some floors.
I called that one my favorite on the floor this morning.
The wild hair.
Yeah, the smoky albino.
I have a real soft spot for wild hairs. But yeah, wild hair albino is real nice.
The floor is not half bad, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more action.
Yeah, we're seeing punk strategy with the floor start to move, and this time it seems like you gotta really go. You gotta really zoom in there, man, to get this chart. But the important thing here for me is that at least today's little action has not been fully dumped and retraced like the last one we had a couple days ago. So that's nice to see.
Punk strategy up 60% off the bottom. Of course, this is the token tied to the Renotic TokenWorks protocol. They collect fees from trading. They buy punks and they list them 10% higher now, 10 or 20% higher. And then when they sell, they use the proceeds to buy back and burn the token. I made the brilliant decision to trade Apester into that recent Bored Ape rally.
Oh, man.
And it turns out that token was full of bag holders who were just waiting to dump it on NFT sales. So that trade did not go well. And now it's kind of my concern for Punkster. Like, will it even on paper it should rally as the Punkster punks sell, but that's not always the case.
In theory.
Yeah.
I think another interesting thing here about punks too, we didn't mention, maybe we're gonna go there, but Jaleel put out basically a way for you to trade V1 punks without having them wrapped. And it's a pretty nice site, but we've seen V1 punks here go up. If they like almost tripled, or is it doubled? They're at 4.5 now. And last night before I went to bed, they were like 2.5. So
do they flip pudgies?
They're very close to flipping pudgies.
Yeah.
But that's been an interesting thing. Like, I always go back and forth with the V1 punks. I have a really love-hate relationship with them. And I did have two, and I tax loss harvested them, and I guess I thought I buried one in a wallet that I definitely can't find today. But I think like Cryptopathic and a few other older collectors have been big proponents of V1s over the years. And just having any type of way to trade them a little more seamlessly is good for them. So
do we all need V1 punks? Do all punk holders need to hold?
For a while, I felt like you should have at least one. Oh, dude, 37 minutes ago, an Ape V1 punk sold for 57 ETH. If you look there in the the history, wow. I didn't even notice that Ape move too. Different Ape than the punk, or the V2 punk.
$115,000. Wait, please.
Yeah, am I seeing this right? Pleaser now bought this? Wait, I'm in Pleaser now. Wait, what the fuck?
Incredible things happening.
What's going on over here?
It should be an interesting DAO call after the $115,000 Ape V1 punk buy. But yeah, an interesting rally. They're at 2 ETH for a long time. Now 4.5. Punks OTC was asking, have they ever been higher than the third biggest collection by floor price? The answer has to be no.
No.
In the modern era.
Because the Apes, as far as I remember, Apes, they never passed Apes.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if they've ever really been third. I'd have to go back through history.
There's just a really brief window of time where I remember them being like over 15 ETH. I just don't remember what other collection was over 15 ETH, but I think it was probably just Apes.
More action in the NFT streets. And we had a fairly hot mint last week. 10,000 tokens. Renonic is back. The idea behind this one, there's too many tokens out there. So they launched a new project. It's tied to a launchpad protocol. You have to burn an NFT to launch a token. That means that they're capped at 10,000 potential tokens. Minted for 0.01 ETH plus gas was about 0.02 ETH with gas. Did a nice all 5.7x on secondary, still hanging out at 0.11. Today is launch day. So folks will be able to, for the first time, burn an NFT and launch a token effectively like a meme. I guess it could be any kind of token.
Are you burning any of yours?
No, I'll be holding mine and perhaps selling. I do think there's a chance today is the top. The whole trade is dependent on whether or not you think there's going to be demand for these tokens that launch. And as we've seen with several pump competitors that have come over the last several months, it's hard to get demand in a new token ecosystem that's sustained for very long. So maybe we'll see some action here in the next few days. But if they're able to buck that trend, it'll be bullish. So we will see. Not a huge trade by any means, but happy to have a nice little return in the NFT streets. And the thing is, like, there's just been a lot of layups. Like, Art Blocks was hard to mint last week, but if you minted it, it was a layup 2 to 3x. So for the NFT grinders out there, it definitely is a better market right now, which is nice to see. Deez, I'm curious, have you been trading much? So we kind of went down into the NFT conversation, but kind of pulling back, we talked about pod. Have you been messing around anything else on base? What have you been getting into?
No, nothing crazy. I think I bought and sold a couple tokens on FOMO for like, $500 to $1,000 positions because I was just fucking around. So nothing crazy there. I've been looking at some of the base tokens I see Ansem hinting at on the timeline. My problem with base tokens in general is I have a really hard time holding them for like more than a couple days. Even Dolphin, once I was able to like take my initial out, I was very happy to do so. Like something about the base tokens are always hard for me to get super excited about. Was looking at Banker, didn't buy it, like doubled off the bottom. Now it's basically retraced half of it. I was looking at like a couple of the other February-ish era tokens from that like Claude, Kelly Claude, like every different name of Claude, Claunch, like all that stuff. But I didn't pull the trigger on any because I haven't been following what these devs are up to, and I don't really care. One of the other tokens that I own 1% of from like literally 100K market cap won the one of the pump fund like in 250K investments. So that was cool to see. Yeah, TC, it's fully retraced the whole move.
Man, it's tough out there. It
Which is-
wins the pump fund competition.
Yeah, doubles and then fully retraces. But at the end of the day, too, for this thing in particular, the token isn't 100%. Like what they're doing is growing really nice. The token is just like kind of like icing on the cake. You get certain perks and stuff, but like you don't really need the token to use the platform or anything. So I'm just glad they're like growing and getting more adoption outside of the token because they're trying to make the platform like, you don't even need to know the token exists. If you just want to buy Pokemon packs and get cards, then you can, and you don't need to worry about any of the crypto shit. Because a lot of that Pokemon audience, I feel like, is just turned off by the crypto token nature of anything crypto related.
Yeah, which makes sense from the user experience, but then it also raises the question of what's the token.
Yeah, the nice thing about the token for me is if you hold like I think it's like 1 million of the token, you get access to this special role, and then you basically get like the first dibs on all of the stuff they put on the site. So if they have anything where they only have like 5 or 10 packs, like you get first dibs. Any of the pre-order stuff they have, you get first dibs. So it is like kind of a nice membership program for holding a token that you're bullish on, but we'll see how it does after, because I don't think I'm not fully sure how this whole pump thing works. Like after they say that you're a winner, how long does it take to make the investment, or what happens? Like I haven't really seen too much happen with the other winners. I think Pumpcade is the big one that people think of. I think they were the first winner. But that's basically retraced a lot of the hype too. So we'll see. It's what you asked if I was actively trading it. It's like, no, I bought 1% in December and I've been holding it this whole time. So I'm not really actively trading it. It was just the best news week ever for it in its short life so far.
Indeed. Sign of the times. I thought the pump fund investments were at a 10 million market cap, so like in theory that your token would go to 10. But
yeah, I mean, I don't fully understand how it's gonna work, but like I'm just happy to hold it and see what happens.
Are you playing around with Mega ETH much these days?
Outside of Monster, no. The chart looks pretty bad. Looks like we should have hedged. But no, I haven't ripped anything outside of Monster. I got another Mewtwo I like on Monster that I didn't cash out. And I've just been kind of chilling.
This has been a tough one. Token briefly hit 20 cents on launch day, on TGE day.
Yeah, it's down like 8.
I guess it kind of chopped in that, just below that for a few weeks, and then one big sell-off to the 12-cent area, and then it's the last week. It's just the bottom's falling out. On this down to 8 cents. That's below the ICO price. And the Fluffle price is 5 cents. So it appears to be revisiting Fluffles. We'll see how this one goes from here. they've been rolling out new apps. Like Euphoria launched last week. Seemingly folks were interested in that. Like there actually is a decent app ecosystem over on Mega ETH. I've seen the take that they bet on like retail and degen traders versus betting on institutions, and that's a mistake in 2026. Which is kind of a shame because we like having things to do for those of us who are still hanging out on chain. But I mean, pretty notable difference in price action between Monad and Mega now.
And Monad's been selling off this week too.
I guess. So Monad came out around, well, it's still above where so its ICCO was 2.5. It did dip. Guys low. It went about 40% below. Yeah, so I guess there is some precedent for dips of this size for Mega ETH. So
yeah, I'm expecting it to range here for a while. But I'm not buying more. I have my angel investment that's like locked up anyway. So I'm holding for at least like another 11 months.
You got some time.
I'm chilling. Mandatory chilling.
All right. Well, I think we went around the horn. Everything on my list. Anything else you wanted to cover? Either of you here today?
Just be prudent. I think that's always the name of the game. Know where you are in life. If you're young with AI, there's never been more opportunity to invest and be an entrepreneur. If you have a family or you're in a situation where you've had a huge run up and you can change your life, do that. It's a common theme. And yeah, there's a lot of negative stuff out there, but there's so much good going on in the world. So great to be back with you boys. Excited to get into a routine this summer.
Glad to have you back.
Glad to have you back, man.
And congrats on the new place. Well, folks, I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in here today. And thank my co-hosts, as always. We'll be back next Tuesday. Until then, have a great week. Goodbye.